Last question from r/entrepreneur on Reddit. Away He Throws 1989 has too many irons in the fire and wants to know how to handle overload.
So let's break this up between like philosophical, like how you personally handle overload, and then I actually want you to talk about like task management and project management and how to do that. So personally, how do you handle being either overworked, like how do you handle too much noise?
So I'm a finisher, so I have to get my process done, and if I don't, I will work until it's finished, which is hard a lot of times here because there's just a never-ending mountain of work.
Yeah.
So what my options and things I like to do, I like to delegate. So I like to push off anything that I can that's not like absolutely core or unique to my skill set. If it could be handled by a VA or if it could be handled by somebody that we can outsource it to, I would much prefer that. One thing that I really like to do is I mark down all of my tasks in a personal task manager, not on a Trello board, not anywhere that everybody can see it. I have my information on it, and then I chew through those one by one until I can do all that I can. Anything that doesn't get done gets moved right to tomorrow, and then I start again and keep working through that list. Overload is real, and I honestly think delegation is the best and most effective way to get stuff off your plate.
Yeah, I think so. I don't handle overload super well. I'm one of those people that I will just work and not sleep, which is not productive. It's not something that you can do sustainably and long term. It's great for if you've got 20 projects and you got to knock them out. Fantastic. If you're running a company, not so much. Yeah. So one thing that I think is very important to talk about is delegation. Ultimately you've got to look at it as an opportunity cost. If Blake's time is worth $100 an hour, and he's spending $100 an hour doing a task that is $15 an hour work, as a company, you have to prioritize Blake's time versus someone else's time. And typically what that looks like is you create a construct, you create a system that you want something done in this system, and then you hand it to someone else. That can be really difficult because a lot of times there are things like the way that I place advertising and the way that I media buy is very personal to me. And so it's sometimes hard to even want to hand that off to someone else because that's where I find my value. That's where I find my worth. But ultimately, my value is in teaching that to someone else and then moving on to the next task. And so I think that's a very important is systems and processes like. You have to have them in a business. And so many people in the startup space are like, oh no, move fast. And it's like, move fast, but you need someone behind you doing this and organizing it and saying, okay, great, we did it once, it took us 3 hours. How do we do it again in an hour and a half?
Because otherwise, whenever you try to formalize your business and scale up, you're going to have everything on your plate. And that's going to be the first time that you tangibly have to let go of something and trust somebody else. And that's very tough if you're already at scale, if you're already kind of post-revenue. So setting up those familiarities with handing things off to other people and delegating is huge early on.
And it matters a lot to the people who are joining an organization. If you join an organization and there is a book of systems and processes, that person now has a operating guide that they can then iterate on. I mean, like when Joe came in, I said, Joe, this is how I'm doing things. You do it how you want to do it as long as you can document it. And he's much better at what he does than I was. So, but coming in, you want to have those systems and processes in place, in check. That way when someone comes in, they don't feel like they're just wandering aimlessly. Like that, that's never a fun feeling, is the best way I'd put it. So, yeah.